Kalan, tell me what it means when someone says they want multiple streams of income. Tell the people. Why do the people need multiple streams of income?
COVID says it all. What's the difference between having an LLC for your business and being trademarked?
For me, I'm trying to get multiple streams of income because I'm trying to retire early. 62, can't do it.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode on the Stream Chasers Show. Got myself, Kalan.
Candace.
And we're glad that you all are joining us today on another payday. Before we get started, first we just want to tell all the listeners, all the followers, thank you for the support. We kicked off the first payday February 15th, and now we're some months in the game. So thank you for all the shares, the likes, the comments. Mm-hmm. And again, if there's any topics that you all want us to hit on, just send us a message in the DMs, or just comment on our page or email us. Any way you can get in contact with us, just let us know some things that you all would like us to talk about. There's a lot of industries and things that we haven't touched on yet, but we
got a lot of stuff coming up.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of stuff, but still, just let us know if it's not on our radar. Let's get into today's episode. So as you can see, it's just Candace and I today. We're going to switch it up a little bit, which is always fun to just keep the people guessing. Mm-hmm. And if you've been with us on this journey, you've heard Candace probably mention a few times her business, which is Pretty Prince, etc. We're going to get into that business. Like, what is Pretty Prince, etc.?
I wish the name was different now. We'll talk about that too.
Okay. So maybe I'm not the only one that gets tongue-tied on that.
You're not.
Pretty Prince, etc. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get into that business. And if you don't know, it's a stationery business. Mm-hmm. And myself, it's like I said, we kicked off the first episode February 15th. It probably wasn't until December when Candace and I started really planning out the show that I got to learn what a stationery business was. I had never heard of it before.
Most men wouldn't.
So we're going to get into that. And then also, we always like to come up with another topic that's very relevant that people can relate to in the business world. And that's this whole thing of managing two things or trying to balance two things. That's the full-time job, the 9-to-5, but then also trying to grow this side business. And, the thing is, how much pressure is it really on you when, you already have that 9-to-5 mm-hmm. that's providing you a great salary, mm-hmm. So if all your bills already been paid, what type of pressure is it really for you to grow this side business? Because it might not really mean much, or you might not have that same effort mm-hmm. if it fails this month, or you don't do as well, you don't get as many sales, because in the back pocket, mm-hmm. you still got your 9-to-5 job. But there's some people out there that are opposite of mm-hmm. that have to go the other route of, I'm 100% in on the business. I don't have no 9-to-5 to fall back on. So I have to show up every single day for the business. Mm-hmm. I have to meet my goals so my bills can be paid. So I can continue to eat, mm-hmm. the lights, the roof, all the things. So it's like, is it really enjoyable? So that's what we're going to talk about. Because Candace, if you don't know, mm-hmm. she's right now juggling too, with the intentions on soon moving on. And I know Anthony, her husband's probably like, oh,
she got intentions?
Moving on. So we're going to let her clear that up. Uh-huh. But again, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So we got a great episode. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into it. So Candace.
Yes.
First, tell us, what is Pretty Prince, etc.?
I like how you said it.
And how, what made you want to get into business?
So Pretty Prince, etc. is a stationery business first and foremost. I do the etc. is because I do some other things, a few other things outside of stationery, but it is Pretty Prince, which is PRINTS, not Prince like Crown Prince. That's the mistake, because I realized people with the TS and the CE, it's very similar. But anyway, so Pretty Prince, etc. is a stationery business, and it was started out of my desire to have extravagant stationery for my wedding, right? Like when I went to get married, I wanted to have the best invitations that anybody had ever seen in their whole life. And then when I looked at the prices for said invitations, I was like, I can't afford said invitations. And not only can I not afford them, because what I was looking at was, let me give you a level set, right? So invitations, paper invitations that are nice can cost about $2.30 each, $2.30 each ish. What I was looking at was in the neighborhood of like $15 per invitation. And I had 160 guests, and I was like, so when you do the math, this ain't gonna work.
But that's a lot of money just on
invitations, right?
Yeah.
But I firmly believe that the invitation says it's the statement of your wedding. When somebody receives it in the mail, when you get something nice in the mail, you're like, oh, they put some work into this, almost like a nice business card. The invitation is the business card to your wedding. So I wanted the best business card I could find, but I ain't had a best business card money. And so I was like, now how am I going to make this work? Because one thing that my husband always says about me is that I have expensive taste. He was like, I could put two things in front of you and you're always going to pick the most expensive one every single time. Yeah. So, but what I also don't do is give up easily. So I knew what I wanted, didn't have the money for it, but I was like, I'm going to make it. Right. And so I went through the process of crafting my own invitation. So finding a vendor to do because I did acrylic invitations, which I think everybody knows what acrylic is now. Back then, nobody knew what acrylic was. It's weird to say back then.
Is there a way you can explain that?
Yeah, it's acrylic is like plastic, right? So it's that clear plastic that you can see through. So girls get makeup containers made out of it. Yeah. Just, it's just, they make chairs out of it now, you know, whatever. But it's that clear plastic, but you can get things written on it, right? And so I saw these acrylic invitations and I had to have them. So I went through the process of finding a vendor, because somebody's got to pour it, cure it, set it, write on it, do the whole thing. And then I went through the process of creating it. I've always had a love of like graphic design and typography, so that wasn't hard. I also have really, really nice handwriting. Some might say it's even calligraphy-ish. So like addressing the invitations wasn't going to be hard, but it was like doing the whole process. So I did the whole process and I had fun. Like I had so much fun doing it. And after it was over, I was sharing the steps on a lot of brides, you join different websites while you're out there. So there's this wedding board called Wedding Bee. And I joined the board, and one of the things that those brides do is they share information with each other. So I shared the steps. I was so psyched to share all the steps. Like, okay, first you need to call this vendor, do this, do this, do this. And I had so many of them say, I love what you created. I'm not doing that myself. Not doing it. Would you do it for me? Would you help me with it? I'll pay you to help me. And there were so many people asking for my help and offering to pay me for my help. I was like, do I have a thing here? Yeah. Do I have a thing? And so that's what happened. I mean, literally, that's what happened. I've been creating invitations ever since. So for 7 years now. Okay.
So that was the first sign of business interest. Or did you have anything when you were younger or growing up that made you, or that may have inspired you to say, one day I do want to get into business? Because I know you went to school for business. Okay. So you had some of those desires maybe before the wedding?
Kind of. When I was young, I sold bracelets. My best friend and I used to make seed bead bracelets. So we used to sell those, and we had custom orders coming in then. So I've always been a crafter at heart and always been about money too. Ever since I was in high school, I was in Future Business Leaders of America. Then I, did some state competitions behind that. Then went to school for business. So I knew business was my path, but I always said I was not going to start a business. I said, it's too much work. Like anybody who really understands what's happening in a business understands that starting a business, especially starting a business from scratch, is a lot of work. So it was never my intention to start a business. It was always my intention to just go get a job, get a finance job, get some kind of job, and just do well and become CEO one day. That was my plan.
Right. So it's interesting that you say that wasn't your goal in the beginning. So what's changed with you now, though? Because now you're all about business, and you're in the process of trying to leave the job.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
So what has really hit you to be like, hey, I want to do business?
You know what? I think it was the realization that no job is ever going to pay you what you're actually worth. You know, you're going to get a job. You're going to have 9 to 5s that offer you great salaries, right? What they would consider, or what you might even consider commiserate with the market or the industry, right? So you're a business analyst, they offering to pay you $90K. That's right on par with what business analysts out here making. I'm cool with it, right? But at the end of the day, there's a bottom line at business organizations. Even if you work for the government, right? While they don't make money, they got an agency budget. At the end of the year, they want it zero. They want it flat, spent all the money, did all the projects, all the initiatives, paid all the people, the end. There is no wiggle room for you to do a really great job, have a really stellar year. Even in private industry, there's bonuses, but you never going to out bonus the CEO. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Even for those people that get like those $10,000 bonuses. Yeah. What you think those seniors up top?
Exactly.
They taking home 100.
They taking home the big money. And even them, right? Even as CEO, there's only so much they can take out of the company, right? A lot of those companies are publicly owned, publicly traded companies. So there's only so much they're going to be allowed to take out, right? Because the board of directors is going to say, yeah, I'm going to cap your salary here, you know? So while they make hella money, and there's a whole topic for conversation on that just alone, on how much CEOs make against their employees, there's still a limit, right? There's still a limit. Whenever you work for somebody else, there's a cap to how much they are willing to pay you. And as an entrepreneur, it really is boundless.
Yeah. So we know that you're not about being capped off.
Yeah.
And working for somebody now. As like we keep emphasizing that she's on her way out soon, speaking into existence.
Come on.
However, is the passion, or is there a passion that's really driving you to want to continue to put in however many hours that you're having to put in into Pretty Prince, etc.? Because you're still working 40 hours a week, 40 plus in your case. On the 9 to 5. So I know you have to be tired.
I am. I'm very tired.
So like, what is it that's continuing to push you outside of, you don't want this cap?
You know what? But it is the I don't want this cap. You know, some entrepreneurs have a real deep passion for what it is that they do. Don't get me wrong. I like stationery. I could even say I love stationery. I like crafting and creating things with my hands. Pretty things. That's the Pretty Prince, right? Like, I love making pretty, beautiful things with my hands and being able to look and say, look what I did. That's very pretty.
Right.
But I have always been the type to be driven by money. It's a weird thing to say, but it is what it is. I mean, even the career path that I chose, like, I knew that I got my business degree. Like, there's a reason I didn't want to be a teacher or something. There's a noble careers, but they don't make no money. I never, even in high school, like the fact that I can tell you that I took business classes in high school, it was because even then I was very conscious of what kind of salary I was going to make at the end of this. Like, there is a path here, and I needed to lead to comfort, and comfort is money. So I need to know what it is. And so I just went the direction of money. After college, when you out here trying to hustle, trying to find your first job, I was always motivated by what's going to pay the most, like what has the best outcome. So while I would love to say the thing that fuels me is the desire to make beautiful things, it is not. It is secondary to the cash.
So it's interesting that you say that. Would you recommend to your children a certain major based on
the outcome,
what it pays?
Absolutely.
Versus what they really want to do?
Absolutely. So you know what? I think though it depends on the person. And so for you that have children, you know that each one of your children is like a special, unique individual. Like you can see their character very, very early. And it depends. I do believe that there are some people who are driven by purpose, like by passion. Like I have to create. I want to make the world feel better. So I became a doctor, or I want to help the world. So I'm a sociology major, whatever they do. Those people, you know, but that was never my thing. You know, it was always for me keeping an eye on what's going to make me happy is what I do after work, which has nothing to do with work. And I need money to do that. So I need the cash. My oldest son, I would say to him to pursue the dollar. He is not a purpose driven person. He'll do whatever as long as it pay. My middle child is purpose driven. She might not make a dollar. She might just create art and just live in a box. I don't know. She might have to live with me for the rest of her life because she is the type of person that has to pursue her passion or she will not be happy.
Gotcha.
We have yet to see with the youngest one. We'll see. I hope she's money driven because I'm gonna need her to support the middle child. So we'll see.
No, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I feel like I'm more like your second child, because when I was coming up, or as we were coming up, the big thing was, and it's still the big thing, it hasn't gone away, and that's go computer science.
Oh.
IT, you know, because that's where the money is. You can do anything. You can be an engineer. You can be a developer. You can work a help desk and work your way up. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to do. So it's like, all right, I said I was going to be a computer science, but that's not really what I wanted to do. Granted, and there was a time when I first graduated. So I graduated in 2008, just to give a little background, and we all remember that was like the recession, you know, the recession times. So it was hard to find a job. Yeah. However, ironically, the people that I knew that had jobs were in IT. Oh. Right? Because it's needed everywhere. But it still had me thinking, like, I'm still glad that I chose the route that I did, because that's not something that I wanted to do. Granted, these people was coming out making 60, 70K at 22, 23, and I'm barely getting 30K. Exactly. But it's something that I like to do. And even for me, like, I'm all about doing things that make you happy. Okay. So I don't know, like, how I would approach that when my kids get older, and it comes to like, hey, I want to major in this. It's like, I feel like I'm just going to back them, whatever they want to do, because I know that an engineer can make a whole lot of money. Right. But you might not really want to be an engineer, but you're going to come out, be good.
That's a good point. I mean, I suppose there is a middle ground, right? When we were coming out, like you said, IT, computer science, that was a big thing. I could, while they would have made more money, and that probably, given the thesis that I gave you, which is I'm all about the money, you would think that I would have gone that way. It's not that I wouldn't have gone that way, it's that I was no good at it. Like that wasn't my calling. So if I had tried, I probably would have made no money. So I didn't go that way. I probably would have tried anything that I thought was going to make me more money that I thought I could pull off. Because that's the other thing. Now, I will say that there is a middle ground. Like, you don't want to, I would never tell somebody, go to school, get a job, or not even go to school, but get a job in something that you absolutely hate. Because there's a difference between I do it and it makes me money and I care not, and I do it but I hate it. Right. Because there's a real difference.
Right. Like I said, I just wanted to see, you know, because that's a real thing.
Yeah. My cousin and I often discuss that because there are people who are purpose driven people, and I promise you, I don't understand them. Yeah. I wish I could, but I'm just like, no, that's not me.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a fine line, because like I said, I had those battles, like, dang, like I'm now 26, 27, like barely scratching the surface, and now these people are at 100 now. Yeah. You know, so it's a little balance. It's a little balancing act. But nowadays, and this is a whole nother topic that we're going to have an episode on, is college even really necessary nowadays?
Come on, you said it, because when you was talking about my oldest going to college, first of all, we're going to talk about his grades. But second, I don't think that's... I went, right? His dad didn't go. So we're in a split household. I don't know... that I would recommend that first off for my kids. I feel like I went, and so I'm putting them in the best place, right? So now there's a jumping off board if they want to go. Like, I got all the information. We are financially secure in a place that we can definitely afford to send them. But in that financial security, I can afford also for them not to go. So if she decides not to go, she decides she want to travel Europe, she decides she want to play the trombone for whatever reason, like, that's cool too, because we're financially secure enough that she doesn't have to go. Right. And I think that's a cool place to be in.
Yeah, no, that's clutch. That's clutch. So going back to what we were talking about, just a little bit, you know, because now we're on this journey of working the 9 to 5 still, and juggling the side business right now, which is a legit growing business.
Yes,
might I add. Do you feel, or do you find that it's easier to put a lot of work in? So we know you're driven by the money, which is nothing wrong with that. If you can make some money in it, then make it.
Do it.
If you can make a lot, do it. However, do you feel it's easier to put that work in because you know on the back end that you still got your security blanket? And I ask that because there's a lot of people out here, like I mentioned in the intro, there's a lot of people out here who are opposite, who would love to just have some security, a security check coming in, no matter what that amount was, and then be able to like work their business, right? But it's a lot of pressure on those people when it's 110% all in. I gotta do what I gotta do to make this money, to keep the boat going. Meanwhile, in your case, you have a great job that probably pays very well, and then you got this whole business on the side. You know, so like, do you feel that it's easier for you to like put that work in?
No, actually, so I think it depends on what your end goal is, right? Because my end goal is to work for myself, doing my business. My 9 to 5 sucks because it's not 9 to 5. It's 9 to 9 sometimes. It's a long day, and it sucks a lot of energy out of me. And so what I am envious of is the full-time entrepreneur who has the time this is their sole focus, right? Because I still have a boss, and my boss has a boss. So I got growth goals, performance metrics, all these things that I have to meet at my job to keep the engine running for somebody else's end purpose, right?
Right.
Whereas the full-time entrepreneur, their growth goals, their things are things that they want to do. And at the end of the day, if what pays the bills is what commands your time, you know? And as much as I would love to say that Pretty Prince commands all of my time and energy, it really doesn't, right? I have a very strict schedule with how I manage Pretty Prince versus how I manage my job. You know, the industry that I support are people who are frantic. They are very particular clients. You know, they want the things how they want the things. They demand your time. Right. So I have to be very like strategic about how I split my day. And also my 9 to 5 is very demanding. And the people want your time. They want your energy. They want everything they want your soul. So it's also, as somebody who has a paycheck coming in, a security paycheck, also easy to disregard the business. So if my end goal is to work the business full time, disregarding the business doesn't get me where I need to go. It's easy to put your feet up and say, not tonight, right? Which the full-time entrepreneur might be jealous of, but if I'm trying to get there, that's not helping me get to my end goal, right? So you're ignoring the business, therefore ignoring clients, therefore ignoring the things. Like, I have to almost sometimes ignore my security blanket and grind like I don't have it because I need to get to a place where I'm not using it.
That's funny that you say that, because I imagine that there's a lot of people that would love to be in the other person's shoes. Yes,
the grass is always greener.
They would love to be in the other person's shoes.
Yeah, the grass is definitely always green. I mean, no matter what you do, the grass is always green. I mean, both sides have a struggle, and the struggle is just a little different, you know. It depends on how you live in your life, you know, and whether you have kids or a family or if it's just you. Like, if you're just a single person and you got to worry about your apartment rent or your condo rent or whatever and your car, then if it were me, I would be throwing caution to the wind. I would be like, I'm out here.
Right.
I'm doing the thing. It's harder. It's definitely harder when you have a family to support and all that kind of stuff to be the full-time entrepreneur and having that be the thing that's making the bills, because you got other people depending on you, right? Which is why my husband won't let me jump ship yet, you know, because he like, listen, we got kids, we got things, you know what I'm saying? And he's the type that needs that security blanket, but it makes it so much harder when you've had a hard day and the people was acting up, because they always acting up, to get off work, take off that hat, and then say, I gotta grind for my business.
Right. So it's interesting that you say that, because I want to ask you a question. Like you said, your husband is like, we have bills, we have a house, we have kids. You're always going to have a house, you're always going to have bills, you're always going to have your kids. So how do you get off the job? And there's a lot of listeners out there that are just like us, that are trying to pursue that business full time. No matter what the Instagram memes say, how it's a lot of hard work.
It is.
Some people are cut out for that. They want that. They want that life.
That's me. I mean, I would rather work 80 hours for myself doing the thing that I love to do, or doing the thing that I don't mind doing, because you know me, it's about the cash. So doing the thing that I don't mind doing, knowing that I am maxing out my earning potential, than do 60 hours, which I'm already doing, for the person who sometimes doesn't get my emails, who sometimes doesn't respond, who, you know, all of those things, right? I would rather do it for myself. So the question is how to go from one to the other. It's really about making your business scalable, right? So when me and my husband had this conversation the first time, one of the issues was I needed to focus. I was trying to, so my business is about me creating things, right? So I'm creating invitations. Lately, I've been creating a lot of like wedding brooms. So
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off real quick, because I just want people to understand what scalable is.
Okay.
I don't want that to go over their heads like, oh, scalable. She said scalable, but I don't know what that means. Can you kind of break that down for them? Sure.
So a scalable business is being able to grow your business and figuring out what portions of your business you can make grow, right? So for example, I have a business where I create things with my hands, right? So I make invitations, which I create with my hands. I make wedding brooms, people jump the broom, which I create with my hands and my creative visionary spirit, I suppose, right? Is that part of my business scalable? I would argue the invitations are, because there's less art to the invitations. It's kind of pieces, and you can do it Henry Ford like line style, but the brooms are not, because no matter how or how many times I try to teach people, it's an art. Just like making a bouquet of flowers, it's an art. Some people got it, some people don't, right? So I'm the only person who can do this, or at least do it to my satisfaction so far. And so therefore it's not scalable, because I'm the only person with time to be able to do this with my two hands. I got two hands and they can only make so many brooms, right? But what about your business? Can you improve? Can you get efficiencies in so that you can use more time making the brooms, less time doing other things, right? So the first time Anthony and I had the conversation, my ordering processes were not efficient, right? So I wasn't using a platform where people could order through in a consistent kind of way. The customizations features, because each one of these brooms is custom, because the brides decide, you know, my wedding colors are peach and navy, so then you need a peach and navy broom, right? The customization features weren't there, so I had to talk to each and every each and every bride, Lord have mercy, talk to each and every bride to like set up their situation. I had to change my platforms. So once I changed my platforms and how people were able to order and command my time, it made it so that the orders could flow in seamlessly. They didn't need my attention, and the systems were set up such that I could get it. The processing time was there. Like, they know it's going to take 2 weeks. The shipping information was there, because now I ship through Pitney Bowes. So that means I get custom shipping labels. I don't have to worry about going to the post office. I can drop and pick up from my house. All of those things I had to set up so I could spend more time using my hands and creating the brooms, because that part is not scalable, right?
Gotcha.
So I think the plan of action for each entrepreneur to go from full time to, from 9 to 5 to full time entrepreneur is different, and it really depends on what kind of business you have, right? And where the scalable features of your business are. Where can you find those efficiencies that allow you to make more money and grow? Because the whole thing is about the security blanket, right? The reason you're still on your 9 to 5 is the security blanket. So you want to grow your 9 to 5, your entrepreneur reels thing as much as you can before you say, okay, I've grown all the pieces, I've gotten all the efficiencies, now I'm at max capacity, I have to jump, because the only thing I need more of is time.
That's interesting that you say that, because I think you gave the $1 million answer to an extent, is you have to find the way how to become scalable. Because I've always been under the mindset of, if you're putting in 40 hours, like I said, you putting in 40 hours, some people 40 plus hours into this job, and you're trying to work this business on the side when you have kids in the evening after you've had to drive an hour home, for you have enough time in the week, might not even be every day, just in the week, you might be able to see 2 people. If you have like a service based business, or even if it's product like yours, you might have time to do 2 brooms in a week. I always had the mindset, how do you really get off the job? Because you don't even have the time. So you're sitting there like, oh, I'll do it when I get to that good number, or when I stack enough money. It's like, well, how long do you plan to be on the job?
Exactly.
You doing 2 brooms a week, you gonna be on the job for a long time.
Exactly.
So scaling is important, and I think you hit on it. It might not necessarily be the skill that's making the money, but it could be in admin. The
areas.
Operations, putting systems in order to be able to make things more automated.
Exactly. So I can so like now brides know when they order from me, they know what the handling time is. They know that if they need it within a certain short period of time, there's a rush fee associated with that, and there's something that they need to buy that attaches to that. But I can set it up so that I can get all these orders all week long, and then on Saturday, when I have my time, which most entrepreneurs use in their weekends too, knock out 10 brooms in a row, because I've gotten all my things together. I know that on my way home from work on Wednesdays is my trip to Michael's to get this, that, and the third. I've got my list together, because another part of the efficiencies is now that all the orders are coming into one place, I can print out a print sheet, know what I'm going into the store for, get all of my things. So Wednesdays is my Michael's trip, Saturdays is my broom thing, Mondays I'm putting them out for the post office to pick them up. Like you gotta maximize what you can do in the short time in the time that you have. So if I'm like you and I'm driving an hour home, right? Well, for me, I do client consultations, then I need to do a client consultation in the car. I need to make sure that I'm scheduling my client consultations for 5 p.m. on my drive home, so that I can use that hour. It's maximizing the time that you do have.
So I think that's very important, or I know that that's very important. And if you're listening to this episode, please take this away. You have to become organized. And that's period. That's whether you have kids or no kids, because you waking up every morning in your mind, in your mental, you have a to-do list. Whether that's something as simple as washing the dishes and taking the dog out for a walk, or something as such as making my business plan, contacting the bank, whatever. You have to get these things organized to literally see where you have time in your day.
You do.
And Candace is all on it. The fact that she's doing consultations in the car.
Yeah.
And that's something I got to get better at, because I'm the type, and it don't even have to be business. It can be me calling the bank on a business call. It's like, now I need to be at home sitting down, relax.
I understand.
Just like navigating through traffic. It's like, nah, I don't need to be. I need to be at home.
Yeah, I understand. It does take a certain level of focus, and that was one of the things that I have to credit my husband to. That he pointed out to me, like, you're not even efficient in what you're doing before we talk about you coming home. And I was like, I was offended. I was like, I don't know what you mean. And so, but I did have to sit down and take a hard look at how I was doing business and say, okay, I can become more efficient at these things. There's still one more thing that I want to do to become even more efficient is how I organize my supplies, because they are everywhere, right? And so sometimes I'm double buying things, which means I'm spending money that I don't have to have, which means I'm not stacking bread to get off this job, right? So I need to set up my supply situation.
Inventory system
is a little way. I need to do a little bit better with that. And I've got some other things that I want to do, like, in the business that I'm in, sometimes I have excess supplies. So instead of waiting for a bride to order a broom that is in those color kind of patterns, one of the things that is in the back of my mind to do is ready-made brooms, right? So I can put those up on the site. So I'll do colors that I know get a lot of attention. So a blush and a navy and a this and a that of all the excess materials, sell those at a little bit cheaper price, right? Because they're already done and all I gotta do is pack them, ship them, and go. Less time. So I can leave. I put those on my Saturdays when maybe you don't have 10 brooms to do today. Maybe you only have 8 brooms to do, but now I can do 2 excess ready-made brooms, list those, done, right?
Gotcha.
So those were things that he pointed out to me. And then he also said, hire help. That's the part that has been difficult for me because, like I said, brooms come with a certain creative je ne sais quoi, as the people say. But it's been helpful in admin function. So I haven't hired a person. I have voluntold my cousin who moved from St. Mary's to PG. And so she comes over once a week and she helps me organize some of my admin functions. So all of these things I'm talking about, some of them are systems, but some of them are help. So she's listed as an additional team member on my Etsy site. She's listed on this and that. So she can log into the Etsy and say, hey, respond to inquiries that do come in. Cause it's not like I don't ever get inquiries. I do. So she can respond to the inquiries and do certain things. And then so she can ping me on certain days like, hey, on our Wednesday trip, don't forget this, that, and the third. She's really good about that. So if you can afford to hire help, or if you do have someone else who believes in the dream, who's trying to help you enlist those people.
Yeah. And here's a strategy that somebody shared with me, because sometimes when you hear the term hiring, it can be like this huge thing because like, well, I don't have no capital to be hiring an employee. But something that I heard, and I think is very good advice, and I want to share it with you all. Start off small. So, all right, just look at your business as somebody else's job.
Yeah.
So it might be Monday through Friday, right? 5 days in the week, a work week. Just start off with 1 day a week. Getting like an intern.
Yep.
Or like you said, somebody, a close family member that you can trust. And then that way it's not a big load, coming out of your pocket per se, where it's like, all right, 1 day, I don't know, 3 hours. That's a lot of time where somebody can get some work done. Doing shipping, packing.
Yeah, somebody got to pack it. So
all that type of stuff. Or admin stuff, responding to emails. 3 hours a day, that's a lot of time that somebody can be putting into your business. So start off small that way, and then it might grow into 3 days. Before you know it, you might hire 2 part-time.
Exactly.
So that's just another way to grow your business when you are starting off small and you have limited capital.
Right, because those little pinches of time mean a lot. For example, one of the things, while she can't create the bottom of the broom, which is where like the flowers and all that kind of stuff is, what my cousin can do is she can wrap the broom handles. So sometimes what she does is she comes over and the brooms are really long, so you have to cut them to size and yada, yada, yada. So she'll come over, she'll start the process by cutting all the brooms and laying them out for me such that I can go ahead and do the flowery part, the part that's the hard part, and then she'll wrap them, right? And then she'll pack them, and then we off to go. You know what I mean? So those little pinches of time means I can get more done. And it seems small, but all together added up, it makes a difference.
Got you. Okay. So now that we speak in business now.
Yes.
Let's start really diving more into Pretty Prince, etc.
Okay.
So you flirted around, some things along with the business, whether it's about hiring, some of the products that you use. But you said you first started after you had your wedding, and then you posted your products on what website was that again?
It's called Wedding Bee. It was just a wedding board for brides.
Okay, a wedding board. And then you started seeing the comments that people were saying like, wow, this is pretty good and whatnot. What was the next step for you?
So the next step for me was having a conversation with the acrylic manufacturer that I used to do my own, because I used them to do mine. I was not sure if they were in the business of handling more orders, like what that would look like and what that cost would look like. Because
people were already asking you to do their invites?
Or to help them with theirs, right? So as I'm helping 2 or 3 people, I'm like, well, let me have a conversation with this acrylic manufacturer to be like, okay, so I'm sending people my initial thought was, I'm gonna get paid for sending people their way. Like I'm a
like a referral
situation. Yeah,
like
that was my initial. Yes.
So you was going to expect money from the company.
From the company, that was my initial thought. But then the company, what really happened was one of the brides sent me her mock-up for her invitation to work with the acrylic manufacturer on, and I hated it. Oh, it was ugly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can't let her go down like this. So let me make some tweaks. So I made some tweaks to send it back to her. And she was like, oh yeah, I really like it. And I was like, okay, let me make another set of tweaks. Because at first I didn't want to offend her.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know like what she was feeling about it. Because people be sensitive about their art.
Yeah.
So I was like, and once she was open to me making the other tweets, I just fixed it, you know? And then she was like, that's perfect. And, and I sent it off. And so the manufacturer let me know, like, we don't do this. We will make whatever you send, but if somebody sends something ugly, we gonna make something ugly. We just gonna make it to spec. So
they're only going to print off the final design,
whatever that is,
whatever you send in to them,
that's what we print.
All right, so they're the print company.
They're basically the print shop, the acrylic print shop, if you will.
Okay.
The other part about it was that the acrylic is the main invitation. So it's the part that says, my daughter so and so is getting married to so and so's son. This is the time and place. There's also other what we call accoutrements that go with the invitation, right? So there's the RSVP card, the RSVP envelope. Back in the day, there was a directions card. Now everybody got Waze, so you don't need that. But, there are other pieces that go with it. And trusting someone to create something beautiful to go with what they just spent heck of money on,
right,
is it just wasn't working out for me. I saw, so after that one lady sent me something that I did not like so much,
right,
and I fixed it, I saw another lady who followed my steps. Like, she followed my steps to the T, right? But what she came out with was...
Follow your steps? What you mean?
That I had posted to the wedding board. Because my original thing on the wedding board was just sharing information. Like, this is how I made my invitation, right? I contacted this vendor. I made my design in Adobe Illustrator. I did this. I did that. So you was
literally giving the game away.
I gave the game away. You could probably still find it on Wedding Bee somewhere, right? Like, it's an old post. You probably just dig. It's probably there, right?
Okay.
Like, so I gave the game away. And so I saw this lady who followed my steps. And the product was so ugly.
And it still didn't.
Oh, it was so disappointing. It was so deflating. And I said, I can't have people out here doing that.
And is that because the design can't be replicated? So you're giving them the steps of like the vendor and what I use, like you said, the acrylic.
Yeah.
But every design is unique, correct?
Every design is unique, right? So they're making their own designs. And people just aren't necessarily good at it.
Gotcha.
That's where it came. So once I saw what she made, I was so heartbroken because she loved it. So, kudos to her. But I was so heartbroken because I'm like, no, that's not how it was supposed. It was supposed to be exactly what I did. It was supposed to be beautiful. And I said, okay, well, this isn't working.
Yeah.
So it's time for me to help people come up with a beautiful product that's not going to cost them $15, $20 each, because I could make this and I figured out how much I paid for all the pieces, right? And know that if I charge folks $10 a set, I'm still making a nice profit. Like, I didn't have to charge $20 a set. I wasn't even comfortable charging $20 a set. So that's what I did. I took my invitation, I took it apart, took pictures of it, listed it on, made my little website, listed it, kind of talked folks through the steps of how to create it, knew that I all of a sudden became their wedding official in a way that, because a lot of folks don't think about the timeline of a wedding. So if you're getting married in June, you need RSVPs by this date because your chef need to know how many plates to make. You need to know how many tables. Then you got to back it up. People need this much time to respond. Then you got to back it up. You need this much time to make it. You got to back it up. Like, gotcha. I became that person that was guiding that part of the of their process, and I just been doing it ever since. Okay. So, I mean, literally that's how it happened. And, and like I said, I always loved design. I always loved typography, because invitations are less design, more about how words flow together, right? I've always been good at grammar and English, so it was not a problem. And I just did it. The wedding broom thing came secondary. I made a broom for my wedding. My wedding planner left it in the trunk. And we ended up not using it. And I was so pissed every time I looked at it that I was like, I have to sell it. I just can't. I can't. I have to sell it. Yeah, because
it's just sitting around the house, bringing back bad memories.
So I'm going to sell it. So I listed it on the same website just as like a one-off. Like, let me just sell it.
Let me just see.
Somebody sold it. I sold it to somebody. They loved it. Wonderful. Somebody else came back to me and said, hey, the broom you had on your website, I wanted to buy it. Where is it? I was like, oh, it's gone. Sold it. She was like, could you make one for me? Said, sure. So in order to sell it, I had to list it again, sell it. Same thing happened again. Hey, you just had a broom. I'd like to buy one. Can I get it in a different color? And I was like,
people watching.
People are watching. They like this. So this was also, it's also less time consuming than the invitations. It's less working one-on-one with brides than the invitations. It's faster and the profit margin is bigger. So I was like, well, if the people going to do the brooms, then I'm going to sell the brooms too. And that took a little bit more finesse, like finding a manufacturer that was making, or really is not a manufacturer, they're really an importer of these brooms, because they are Vietnamese straw brooms. So trying to find them at a cost point that worked, trying to get the flowers at a cost point that worked, setting up systems. Again, I have a signature broom, a broom that everybody loves. They order all the time. And knowing that I can get all of those items in bulk, have them always in stock, make them, it's a cheaper broom to make because I buy it all in bulk all the time, as opposed to my custom brooms. Same price though. Like, figuring out all of those systems took time.
Gotcha. Which one holds your interest the most? Because now I'm seeing that there's different areas in the Pretty Prince, etc. business. Like you said, you have the invitations, which is, you have operations, which is like the back office business side of things, where you're making sure the orders are getting sent to whoever, the manufacturer, the printer, I'm sorry. Then you have the design. I heard you say you like typography, you like the design element of it. Then you also have the area of doing the brooms and all that type of stuff. Which part would you be most reluctant to hire somebody because you like to do it the most?
I would be most reluctant to hire someone to do the brooms. Okay. Because I think the way that you lay the floral, the way you bunch the floral, what floral you choose to go together to make sure it's not cheap looking and all that, I think that I would be less reluctant to hire somebody for. The invitations, graphic design, while it is, people got sauce. Some people are good at it, some people are not. You can find a good graphic artist, right? Like, I could outsource that if I found the right person.
I was just going to ask you, as you grow and build out your team, do you envision on bringing on your own graphic designer?
Most definitely.
Or at least outsourcing it and, just being locked in with that one person. Like, hey, we got the orders coming in. And
most definitely.
Gotcha.
That is definitely something I would outsource, because that's also what takes me the most time, because I am not I went to school for business. I did not go to school for arts. So I had to teach myself Illustrator. So as I'm teaching myself Illustrator and Photoshop, I've been using it for years now, but it's still something that takes me more time, I think, than somebody that probably does it for a living or that really loves that thing, right? So I would prefer to just give my vision to somebody else who can execute it, right?
Right.
That's what I would prefer. Also, the actual creation of the invitation. So once you got the acrylic pieces, once you have the design of the paper and all that kind of stuff, putting it together is a breeze, right? Gotcha. Somebody just needs steps. You need to know how to put it together. Easy breezy, right? So I also would prefer, I could also hire somebody to do that. The thing with the brooms is that I'm about to give y'all a piece of my thought process right now as I'm thinking about how I grow my business. The brooms is a very specific thing. It is very specific to the African American culture. It is very specific to those who are even want to incorporate that into their wedding, because just because you Black don't mean you jump on a broom.
Yeah.
Everybody don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not sure that it is something that is scalable enough to bring me home. The invitation,
the broom specifically.
Like if I was to divest the invitations and say I'm not going to do invitations no more, I'm just going to do brooms because the brooms have a bigger profit margin and I enjoy it more. I'm not sure that there's enough money in the brooms to bring me home, because I just don't know. The brooms is also a trendy thing. I say trendy, but it's got everything to do with like where Black people are sitting politically in their minds at the time. Right now, Black people in this country are, connecting with our roots, connecting with things that bring us together as a culture, and celebrating who we are as people. And one of those things is jumping the broom because we're celebrating the fact that we were slaves, yada, 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 this, that, and the third, right?
Right.
I don't know how long that wave is going to carry. Hopefully, we stay as we are for a long time, not just for my sake of brooms, but just because I like the cultural woke thing. Yeah. That's just me. But I don't know. It comes in, it goes out, it comes in, it goes out. So we'll see. Invitations are going to be around. They are what they are. Yeah. But invitations, the next step in doing more invitations, greater invitations, more efficient creation of invitations is basically owning a print shop. Sis don't know if she ready for that.
Yeah. So owning the print shop so you don't have to deal with the one company no more. And you have everything in-house. Yeah. Designer.
The whole thing.
Sending the mock-ups to your group over here. Print it. Pack it.
Ship
in-house. And then ship it.
Yep.
And then, so are you looking at possibly now, like, what type of space do you envision? Is that like a warehouse?
Yeah, that is.
Or storefront?
It's like Cause
why can't you be like a UPS? I mean, like,
you could.
Like literally, but
yeah, So there's a young lady. I say young, but she's not young, but she would appreciate me calling her young. Who owns the DC print shop. That's the name of the store. It's called DC Print Shop. It's in DC. It's similar to a UPS storefront or FedEx storefront. You can go in there. They got a computer that you can use for about a minute or about an hour or whatever it is. They do printing, right? The only difference between them is, like, I think if you go in like a UPS or a Staples or whatever, you can swipe your card and use the copying machine. They have a kiosk. Like, you're not gonna mess up her printer, so you're gonna give her the thing. Right. She gonna print it and give it back to you. But she has a full-fledged print shop. She said her family started it decades ago, whatever. I am interested in the print shop model, but the print shop cannot be run out of my house. The print shop definitely has to be run elsewhere, right? Like you're talking about moving into, like, I've been doing some education of myself in the type of printers that go in print shops. Like, it is in the print business is a very old business. It's been around for a long time. And so trying to get the information on it is a little bit difficult. So that's the next thing. I mean, it's not that I can't come. Let me be straight and say I could come home off the job without first having the print shop, but that's the long range, long term.
Got you. Eventually, or would you get into going corporate? Because a lot of things, like you said, the broom, the wedding invitations, so you're getting a lot of the wedding people. But this is one of the questions I want to ask you. So it's a twofold question.
Okay.
First, I want to ask you, how did you or Pretty Prince, etc., get affected with COVID? Because it seems as if, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of your clientele is in the wedding industry. And we all know that a lot of weddings were canceled last year. And even some are still a little sketchy, so how did that affect your number and your path of trying to get off the job? But then was there another way that you now can tap into or another industry? Because like I said, outside of weddings, could you start looking at more corporate things as well, especially now as like jobs start to return back to work?
You're right.
And outside is opening up. And if you're listening to this on audio, I put air quotes, opening up.
Yes.
Just so you can see that. But as things are starting to open up and you start seeing these companies want to have like little small gatherings to welcome their community back, or their their staff back, with having these little luncheons and stuff like that. Have you thought about getting into like the corporate space?
So it's interesting because I'm a double back real quick, and you asked me, did I do cardstock? So I do cardstock. I do print on cardstock, but depending on the thickness, this is where you get into the real technical, right? Depending on the thickness of the cardstock really depends on whether I can print it or whether I have to outsource that print to like something like the DC print shop, right?
Okay.
Right now, as I'm answering your other question, I'm going to answer the second part first and double back to the first part. It would not, I don't know that it would be profitable for me to get into corporate because corporate, most of the time, if they're going to order something, right, they're going to order business cards, they're going to order, it may be an invitation to a luncheon or something, but it's mostly going to be cardstock. They're going to spend a little bit of money. They ain't going to spend a whole lot of money. Right. It's going to be a big number because it's a big order, but it's not going to be a big number because it's extra fancy or extra extravagant.
Gotcha.
With that being said, it would be something that, given the thickness and the lay of it, I would probably outsource to the DC print shop, therefore limiting what my profit margin is on that, because I'd really just be responsible for the design, right? And the printing would be happening through another entity. Not that that's a problem, but it's not necessarily my gift to just do design all the time, right? What I bring to the wedding invitation space is the luxury, because I don't generally just do cardstock invitations. That's something that I should say. I differentiated myself in this space by doing the acrylic invitations because it brings something different, because I'm bringing together a couple different pieces and helping you make something that's a little bit special. So with that being said, it makes it a little bit difficult to do corporate. One of the things that I have found myself doing that I really enjoy doing, though, is business cards. Acrylic business cards are something that folks like. They catch your eye, and nobody's gonna throw it away because it's got weight. It almost is like, wow, I made myself acrylic business cards because I found it to be the easiest way for brides to take it home and explain it to their husbands. When they say, I want this expensive thing, like, this is her business card, but this is what our invitation would look like. I did that on purpose. But then what happened behind that was other businesses saying, I want this. So that has become an avenue for me that is not quite corporate, but not wedding either. So I'm divesting, but haven't quite gone down the corporate path. I want to, but I really think that would require me thinking about how I'm doing my printing.
Yeah. And there's still nothing wrong if you didn't want to go into corporate. I actually just heard this phrase the other day, and I love it, but it says, the riches are in the niches. Yes,
I agree. Because that's a niche thing, and people love it.
There's nothing wrong with staying in the wedding industry, but like I said, now this is that risk averse person coming out of me, because it's like, we saw COVID. Yes. And you had a lot of people canceling weddings.
Yeah, so that was a thing too. COVID definitely affected the business, more the invitations than the brooms. What I found was people were less apt to spend a lot of money on invitations because they're canceling, and or not even canceling. Maybe they were doing like a small 10-person thing. Well, I'm not spending all this money on invitations for 10 people, right? Like, I'm just gonna send them an email, and that's gonna be that. But they were buying wedding brooms hand over foot, because it's like, if it's an intimate ceremony, I'm going to bring all the things. I'm going to bring all the pizzazz. I'm going to bring all the noise to this intimate ceremony. And that includes buying things that I generally probably wouldn't buy. Yeah. This broom. And as weird as it sounds, as unrest grows in this country, Black people are gravitating more towards things that make them Black, right? So I have seen an exponential growth. So COVID, it did slow things down, but not a whole heck of a lot, to be quite honest. Like, I put out a lot more brooms than I thought that I would.
That's good.
And then this year, though, the brooms have like skyrocketed. Like, it has been intense with the number of brooms that I'm keeping 15 orders in queue. On Saturdays, I'm pumping out 5, and then before I turn around, I got 5 more in queue. So I'm like, I am pumping out brooms hand over foot. And I think that has everything to do with folks who rescheduled to this year. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what 21 looks like. 22 looks like, because some of the exponential growth that's happening this year, I attribute to what happened last year. So I want to see what the leveling out looks like after this year's wedding season, because I'm in the thick of wedding season right now.
So how long does it take you to do from start to finish a broom?
25 minutes.
25 minutes.
Yep.
Wow.
I only know that because grandma tried to make an Instagram reel, so I had to record it. And I recorded it from start to finish. It was 25 minutes.
25 minutes. So I think earlier you said the profit margin
was bigger.
Is a lot greater in the brooms.
It is. And it's a lot less time. I mean, the invitations take hours. I mean, hours tweaking and going, send the draft back. And they say, oh, can you say Mrs. instead of Miss? Okay, tweak it, tweak. Like, I mean, it's a lot of work.
So this is why we have the Stream Chasers platform. Because if you're listening to this, Candace said earlier, she will potentially go all in on just the brooms instead of the designs. I mean, instead of the invitations and everything. But we need to come up with the way on how to make that scale up.
Yes.
You know, because 25 minutes is great. You know, that's perfect. But still, like, what you going to do when you got 100 orders in? Now,
exactly. Things are different.
Exactly. Yeah, that 25 minutes, that's a long time.
It is.
Per 100. So, yeah, Stream Chasers, if you listen to this, just lock in with us and tap in if you got some ideas on how Candace can scale that part of her business up.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is definitely better than if I had to estimate how many hours I spent on the invitation set back to front, I would say, 15, 20.
Okay.
Yeah, you spend a lot of hours because, I mean, design, putting it all together, communicating with my acrylic vendor who is in China. So, like, talking, I got to stay up at night to catch her in the shop. It's a thing.
Got you. Okay, so for people that are listening to this, you know, because now their mind should be spinning if they're into, like, you know, this industry. What was your initial investment? Like, what does it take to get started financially?
So it didn't really take anything for me to get started in the invitation space. Well, I guess if you had to, Adobe, I was about to say, I guess if you have to buy Adobe, then you'd be investing in Adobe, which you can't even buy. When I started, you could just buy Illustrator as a package, download it and do. Now they like got Adobe InDesign Cloud. So you paying like a monthly $9.99 fee, whatever, something like that. I'm about to say we pay $80 because we want Illustrator, Photoshop. We want all of it, you know? So anyway, but I didn't have it. I didn't have to pay for it because my husband already had it. So I didn't have a fee there. Right. And when the bride said that they wanted to do an invitation set, then what I did was charge them up front a 25% fee on the entire invitation set, right? So the deposit on it was 25%. That covered my time doing design, and it covered usually the cost of the acrylic. So then I would design it, send the acrylic off, right? Once the acrylic came back, I'd make one sample of the invitation, mail it to her so she would see exactly what her guests would be getting, and then she paid the remainder. So I didn't use any of my own capital to get started. I did build a desk. I had a printer that I already had as far as like the RSVP envelopes and all that kind of stuff is concerned. But I mean, it was really very nominal what I spent to get started.
That's good because, you know, we often hit on that, just how many businesses are out there that take little to none startup. Yeah, with startup costs. Yeah, startup costs.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Kalan and I were talking earlier, people are scared to use lines of credit, right? Business lines of credit or credit cards or whatever, but small thing, I mean, I would say, I'm not telling you bet the house on it, right? But I'm saying if you need, you know, like I know people out here, like one business that's a really physical business, like lash design is a thing, right? So if you're out here and you're doing lashes and you got to go to class, you got to get the certification, put the $200 on your credit card. It's worth it, right? It's worth it. It's worth the investment that you're going to spend in it. So if you need a printer to do acrylic, to do the stationery, buy the printer, you know, open that Staples gift card or open that Staples card, go ahead and get that printer and get moving, right? Because you got to put something into it to get something out of it.
Yep. Nah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it didn't cost me anything, but I definitely have been receiving a lot out of it. Again, with the broom, I sold a broom that I made for myself. So I actually, you know, made $100, if you will, because I sell the brooms for $100. So I made $100 on a broom.
Standard, no matter like the ribbon difference, colors, it's $100.
It's $100 unless I sell, like I did, like I said, at one point I did some ready to buy, if you will, brooms. I sold them at like $80 because they had already been customized or whatever. But yeah, my custom broom's $100. So I sold it for $100. So I had $100. With that $100, I went out and bought more brooms. I bought more flowers. And then I made brooms and flowers. Like I just kept going. So it really took not a lot. And then now obviously I have costs, right? I got the cost of the Etsy platform, which they charge you. They really don't charge you much. They charge you 20 cents per listing, right? So every time a listing sells, they make 20 cents. So,
that's not bad at all.
Not bad at all. I hooked it up to a PayPal that I already had. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It doesn't take much.
Things can be done. This is another income stream that you can be tapping into. You're gonna have to do some work.
You're gonna have to do work now. That's
it's not automated. It's not automated.
It's definitely
it's not a passive industry.
No, it is not. And that's where the money is. That's where I'm trying to go. Passive income. That's where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to put my 80 hours into this business so that I can grow it with unlimited potential, capture that cash, and then put it into something passive that I don't have to use my hands for.
Gotcha.
Because if I break my hands, I'm done.
Yeah. So is it possible for you to bring on somebody, an intern, and train them? Like you said, you have your cousin. I think you said you will have her sometimes cut the brooms. But is it like, can you train her from step A to step Z on how to make the broom?
I could. I think
you don't have to do them all.
I think so. I think, just like with art, there are some people that are going to be blessed with it and some people that aren't. She's never tried. She's watched me make a million brooms. She's never tried. I think she's a little bit skeptical whether she got the sauce or not. But if you're into like artsy type things, if you already like, some people go to like Trader Joe's or whatever and they buy a bouquet of flowers and they arrange those things so beautifully you would think they're a forest. If you're into that type of thing and you have an eye for that, I could train you. It's almost the same as like makeup artists, right? You go to a class, you get your face beat, you do the things, they put on the lashes or whatever, all of that. It's the same thing. Like some of it is a technical skill. Like you got to know the placement and the length of the lashes, but some of it is an art. Like when you step back and you look at your art and you say, do I need to zhuzh it on this side? Do I need to fill it in on this side? Like what do I need to do?
Gotcha. Yeah. Cause I'm just thinking like, if that was the case, could your footprint grow, because then you just have them come to you, you train them an hour or two, or however long it takes, for them to really get it and you're comfortable. They come to your site, pick up the material, take it home, working out of their home, put the thing together.
Quite possible.
Give it back to you if hey,
quality
here's the thing. Yeah.
Quality assurance.
Yeah, get the checks.
Yeah.
You sign off on it and it's being shipped.
Yeah. It's definitely possible.
You can cover the whole southern PG County.
Yeah. It's definitely possible.
It's just a way.
And the other thing is there are not many people who sell these brooms. Like if you log into Etsy, because this is a handcrafted thing. So I use Etsy. I mean, you could Google it, but you ain't gonna find much stuff on Google, right? I think there are 5 of us who make these brooms. And that's covering the entire United States.
That, and you could just take pretty prints, etc., and become the distributor. Like, so there's a lot of, for example, you have wedding planners. Their job is to plan the wedding and do all those logistics. But some of them might want to be like, hey, well, I also make, or I also can provide like the brooms. I do this. It's almost like how big brands use ambassadors. They're out there selling my product.
Let me get a piece of paper.
Marketing my product. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you 10% or whatever, as long as you tell them, hey, this is my product. Use code Kalen's product 50 off or something like that. But it's all coming back to Pretty Prince, etc. So you would literally have a tab on your website saying, become a distributor or something like that.
Become a brand ambassador.
Yeah, a brand ambassador, however you want to
Yeah.
put it out there.
It's actually a very interesting point. One of my girlfriends from college is a wedding planner now, and she contacted me for one of her couples and got a broom. And that thought never occurred to me that, I mean, I'm assuming the couple already wanted a broom. So they asked her if she knew, and she happened to know me. And so she's probably waiting for the next opportunity when somebody knows me, right? Or wants a broom. But having her be a brand ambassador for said broom is an interesting concept. Also, when my broom got left in the trunk of that car, the venue that I used had a broom just laying around, right? So we used that because it was already written in the script that the pastor had. So I was not happy about it, but that's what we used. It would be an interesting thought to provide said broom to other venues and say, hey, I will make these for you as a giveaway to your African-American couples if you would like to buy them at reduced price.
Yeah.
Last but not least, the other thought I had, which is why I said I need a piece of paper, is people sneeze at distribution deals like through Michael's or Walmart or whatever. But the truth of the matter is Michael's sells a broom, right? They sell a wedding broom for this purpose. It is ugly.
Yeah.
So the idea...
My mom used to have one hanging up on our wall. Matter of fact, I don't know what the heck was she thinking about?
Because people have the other thing. See, I'm thinking about these things because the other thing, because they keep them and they put them up in their house and mine are big. I mean, they're 36 inches long and the flowers kind of hang in a way that you can hang it up and make it beautiful, and it's not so small and weird and whatever. The one that Michael sells is like, maybe 15, 16 inches long. It's weird. The flowers are ugly. It's a very strange broom. I need to talk to, if you own Michael's, you call me about a distribution deal so we can get this thing going, because this is something that would sell.
Oh, it would definitely sell. And
let me call my people. Let me have my people call your people.
From what I know, it's challenging, but it's not that challenging.
Yeah.
Because my wife and I, we know, well, she has clients that have products in Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Several other places. So it seems like it's hard. Yeah. But it can be done.
It can be done. And the one broom I definitely have a formula for, right? That would be the one that I would sell to them. It is the one that I call my signature broom. It is the one that I sell the most, that people like the most. I have a formula for it. I know what flower goes where. It's the same broom every single time. Yeah. That would be the one that I would sell. The custom brooms folks can still come to you for and get the custom colors, whatever.
I think we just
I owe Kalan a check. I owe Kalan a check because it's gonna happen.
I could see you on the billboard. You know how they had the little billboards in your little section?
Yeah, in your little section, in the Michael's wedding section.
Yeah, just like that.
Tell Anthony I'm coming home. This is it.
Like that joint would take you, like, literally, but this is where, but this goes back to the original topic.
Yes.
Of how we said, like, how people who are 100% all in the business, yes, but would rather have that secure check.
This is
it's like, check. Yeah. It's like, it's a mindset difference for an entrepreneur, because like, these are the things that you're thinking about day in and day out. And it's like, I can't afford to be at work for 40 hours.
Because
I'm missing out. It's like, you don't have time to do the brooms. You don't have time to do the research.
Yes.
To start thinking about distribution deals.
Never even crossed my mind.
So it's like, that's why I can't work.
That's it.
that type of stuff.
Exactly.
I need to be at home or on the business. Yeah. Coming up with strategies, that type of stuff.
Because I walk past that ugly broom at Michael's literally once a week.
Yeah.
Once a week I walk past. What's funny is I don't even go in the wedding section at Michael's, because Michael's has a whole section dedicated to people who are going to put their own wedding together, right? I don't even go in that section because it's nothing for me over there. Yeah. And I walk past that little ugly broom and like, who is buying this little ugly broom? And I keep moving to think that I could replace that with this. Call me.
And then it's crazy. It's crazy because then it's literally, you just turn into a whole factory.
And that
because
is
now it's on demand. It's like literally, let's do gold ribbon and pink ribbon. We gonna wrap that one up.
Yep.
Send it. Let's get that one blue and gray.
Let's go.
Send it and give them a variety of colors.
Yeah, and I could see, like I said, I have a signature one that I do. That's the same color every time because it's basically all white or like all ivory with some gold flecks. I could see that one being one, and then coming up with a few different variations. But when people really want to get custom, then they come to you, and that's just that. Let me go home now. I'm gonna spend my Saturday instead of making brooms doing research on how you get a distribution deal at Michael's. Who do I need to call?
Welcome to my life.
Thank you.
That's
I like it
stuff
here.
I be on.
I like it here.
But that's what Stream Chasers is all about. That's what we do here.
This is what we do, and I'm gonna give y'all a little wink, wink, nod, nod. The big boss has been working on something that would allow us to get together and have these kind of conversations about businesses so that when you are stuck in your business and you are feeling like, man, I just need to get to that next level, that other entrepreneurs can help you over that hump.
Yeah.
The big boss is him.
We got something special coming. Just be patient.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yes.
It's coming. But I'm trying to think. I think you covered a lot. We got into I know what I wanted to ask you because you mentioned this last week on an episode about how you did a Facebook ad.
Oh yeah.
For your business. So what type of marketing does it look like? Because you're clearly doing well just off the wedding sites.
Yeah.
But do you have to like actively make posts day in and day out on Instagram? Are you well right now it's hard to get out in front of like, you know, the wedding expo the expos and stuff like that. So you don't really have those. So like how do you really get your brooms outside of the websites?
If I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all and transparent. I do not use my social media like I should. At one point, every time I made a broom, especially a custom broom, I would take a photo. It would be on my social media, on my Instagram, on my Facebook. I had like marriage Mondays and this Tuesdays and like I had the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right when COVID hit, sis was tired. And I just, I may have posted, since COVID started, I may have posted 6 times on my wedding website. So the people buying the brooms is because I have a superior product. Because like I said, civil unrest with Black people have led us to being a little bit more woke, them leading to wanting to connect to traditions and cultures that we have. And I think folks are just out here looking for it. I've seen the Google Analytics, the search for wedding brooms has just increased, it just has just over the last year or two. And so you just got to be out there and have the best product. I'm on my SEO on my website. So SEO is search engine optimization. There you go. Search engine optimization on my Etsy site is like prime. Like,
are you doing that yourself, or do you have a company?
No, I do it myself, and Etsy has a way of helping you do it. So it's not like I'm a SEO. I'm not the SEO guy. I'm not the guru. I'm just following the steps that Etsy lays out there. Etsy as the platform that I sell on, like the steps that they lay out there for you.
I'm sorry, real quick.
Sure.
So she broke down what SEO stood for.
Yes.
But can you explain to them what is SEO?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know.
Sure. So SEO is search engine optimization. And what it means is when folks get into the Googles and into the Bings and whatever other search engines,
Amazon's,
use,
the whole
9, right? When they go to search for something related to your product or service, how likely is it that your product or service or website is the first couple of entries that they see, right? So there's always like the ads that are paid for on Google. So that's one form of like marketing, but I usually skip over the ads, to be honest, because sometimes they're not relevant and sometimes I feel
I
away.
hardly ever click on Google ads.
Yeah.
Even though I've heard they do well.
Yeah.
They just look janky to me.
That's me too. I always feel like, nope, not going to the paid ones. I skip right past the paid ones and go to like the first couple on the actual Google page, right? And so search engine optimization is just making sure that you are the thing that is seen when folks are searching. Because if you just create a website without search engine optimization and somebody searches wedding broom, you on page 10. And it's
page 10. It never fails.
And it's never. And what's funny is it's not even that many wedding broom vendors, but somehow you on page 10.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's that. So if you search for wedding brooms or jumping brooms on Google now, sis is on page 1. Okay.
Yeah. That's search engine optimization.
Exactly.
And that's why that's key.
And it is key. So when people are out here looking for it, so really SEO and word of mouth. I've been in a couple publications. I had a spike in purchases after one of my brides was featured in New York Times. And so in the wedding section there. And so I had a little spike there. Also, a few of my brides there are wedding magazine publications
in New York Times.
Yeah, as featured, because I'm there. Okay.
If it's not in your bio, that needs to be in your bio.
It's not. I guess it should be, huh?
Candace is loafing.
Yeah, I be loafing. I'm not only there, I'm featured in a few other like really popular wedding magazine publications that I just need to be like as featured in New York Times, Muna Lucci Bride, blah, blah, blah. Like I need to list them. But anyway, that's how it's going.
Because before you know it, those retail stores, they're gonna be reaching out to you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible because like they're always looking for that type of stuff.
They really are, especially to say that they are supporting the Black community. They want to put your face up there and be like, see, we sell to the Blacks. But anyway,
yeah,
there.
Yeah. All right, so
it's word of mouth, SEO, and that's it.
That's it.
I need to do better.
Hey,
I will do better. But that is part of not being a full-time entrepreneur, right? Like all the little stuff on the fringes that I want to get to, my baby be hungry. I breastfeed. I just don't be having the time.
Nah, I get it. That's good. Is there anything else that you want to share with the people when it comes to Pretty Prince, etc.?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I'm looking to my next steps, looking to get a full-time print shop. I really would like to buy the print shop that I mentioned earlier. She would sell it to me. I would definitely
have you approached her about that?
No, and she's older, and I think I want to. I really do. I don't know if she has kids or not, like if she's planning on like bequeathing this to her kids, but I really do want to approach her because I think that might be my next step, looking into, I feel like while Pretty Prince is definitely official, it definitely has revenue, coming into the house. My husband was saying earlier that because he's got his own little side business going on and working on making that a thing. He was like, I'm jealous seeing all your deposits coming into the account. Like every other day, it's like Etsy. Yeah, I'm like, sis is doing it.
Yeah,
come on, exactly. I need him to see it. It's hooked up to our account so he can see the Etsy's coming in. Okay. But anyway, so the print shop, trying to look into maybe even purchasing a print shop so I don't have to start from scratch because printers are expensive, is my next thing.
So my father-in-law friend has a print shop.
Really?
Right here in
tell
Clinton, who did our invitations.
Okay.
And I think they were pretty tight.
I tell him holla at me. I got questions. I will go over there and with my notebook, pen and paper, because there is so much about the print industry that you can't find on the internet. And I'm talking after hours of research. I think it's just one of those old industries and people know people who know people. And
yeah, so
that's the thing. And now I'm going home to research distribution deals with Michaels. Because I'm trying to make some brooms.
Okay.
So
where can the people connect with you at?
So the people can connect with me at Stream Chasers. But they can also connect with me on my Pretty Prince Instagram, which is at Pretty Prince, etc. They can connect with me on my Pretty Prince website, which is www.prettyprinceetc.com. They can shop. I mean, they can go through the website to get to the Etsy, but if you go to Etsy, it's prettyprinceetc.etsy.com to shop on the Etsy website. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and the personal website. I mean, the personal Instagram. I mean, y'all can go there, but I don't know why. It's linked on the Stream Chasers. It's nothing on there.
Chasers, yeah.
Except for my children.
So if you have any questions about the prints,
yes,
wedding industry,
yes,
she's your girl.
If you need a business consultant, he is your guy. Come on, business strategy session.
Hey, that's what we do here.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Well, you know what it is. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Yeah.
All right. So with that,
just got paid.